All right, everyone. So we had Levi talk about the early part of his career, how he got into cycling, and now we're gonna sort of move on to some stuff about racing over in Europe, doing the big events. And so I guess the first thing is we had a few questions about how you feel on the sort of the politics with ASO, the UCI, how that affects the riders. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's certainly a very important time in cycling. Cycling has gone through a lot in the last few years with doping, with ASO, UCI struggle, teams losing sponsors, which we've seen during this tour, and certainly something needs to happen. And I think that ASO certainly has the most resources. They have the most power, and they are joining forces with a number of other races in the world. So that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. I think it remains to be seen. But for sure, the riders need a union, and they need a representation, which we do have a union, and I think you can see that they're trying to make improvements. They're trying to let the riders' voice be heard, but it needs to go a longer ways. So
I mean, and the kind of union that you see, is that just sort of more to be heard, or like a true labor union?
I think it's more to be heard. Yeah, it doesn't really get anything done right now, but it would be great if at some point the riders could come together and really agree on things, and we could certainly help shape the world of cycling.
Do you or any other riders have any sort of personal relationship with ASO where you could call somebody directly and say, here's what I think, or does it all run through the teams?
There might be a few riders out there that could go up to Christian Prudhomme and say some things. I'm not necessarily believing that ASO would listen to them. I think it would be much more powerful if the riders had one voice. And right now it is happening through the teams. The teams are trying. They're making a big effort to stick together, because I think in the end that's what's important. If all the big teams can unify and stand behind each other, that's what we need.
And I guess for for this year, obviously Astana's relationship with ASO hasn't been productive. Do you see that changing?
Well, I certainly hope so. I don't know how it couldn't. We're a completely new team from 2007. New riders, new staff, completely new staff and management, and we've done everything that we in our power to show that we are with teams like CSC who have the exact same anti-doping program. We're trying to change the sport. We know the sport's been through a lot lately with all the doping, especially, and we don't need any more of that. So, we're just trying to show that we're there, and we're doing the maximum right now, and we're trying to. I know the sport's lost some credibility, and we're doing everything we can right now to give it back.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of faith in the program that we have with Dr. Damsgaard. Tested, like I said before, 15 to 20 times unannounced at home during the year, which goes along with all the in-competition tests. I think for myself, I've been tested probably 30, 35 times this year alone.
Yeah.
So that's quite a bit. I think that says a lot. And I hope that more teams come on board with that.
Yep. And for the teams that don't have internal anti-doping programs, do you think that's just a question of being a smaller team that doesn't have the financial resources?
I do. I think that every team out there would want to do it, but it costs a lot of money. And with Astana, we have a big budget, and it costs €500,000, which is obviously a big portion of the budget. For us, it was definitely necessary after what happened last year with Astana, and it wasn't enough. enough, I guess, to get us in the tour this year. But I think, you know, for the future, it's a good, really great thing.
Speaking of Astana, I guess